When I was in Form 4, there was a kind of movement that started in the school. Now, this bright student or the top index student started wearing spectacles. So some people started copying them. They started buying spectacles and wearing them. And we thought that spectacles was a sign of intelligence in the school until I joined the university. Now I thought that people in the university have spectacles because all the bright students now from different school met at the university. But the thing is this that very few people were wearing glasses in the university. That's when I now discovered that spectacles is not a sign of intelligence. Spectacles actually are worn by sick people who have eye problems. You see, the thing is this, when you have results, you have influence. We talk about two kinds of fear that you must overcome in order to be successfully in your final examination. I mean your KCSE 2023. So, I know now you are preparing yourself. Everybody is preparing himself for the exam. But there's two kinds of things I want you to master. The first kind of fear is the fear of the unknown. Now, what I mean by saying the fear of the unknown, it is what you don't know or what you have not mastered in your curriculum or in your syllabus. And I'll give you examples so that you can understand better what I mean. And this kind of fear can come from two dimensions. Number one, it can come from teachers. Number two, it can come from colleagues. So let me start with an example. I was teaching in a certain school, and a Form 4, by mistake, he didn't write his index number correctly. Now the principal of the school came and told him he was a man, he was a gentleman. Mr. Man, up to this time you cannot write your index number correctly, and you're waiting for your KCSE. Are you really serious? Oh, this is an E. And he was in the staff room. So every teacher was shouting around at the student, you mean you cannot write your index number correctly? Are you a fool? And you're waiting for a KCSE. What will you get in that paper? So until they came upon the saying that we want to talk to your class teacher, we want to disqualify you from doing your KCSE because you are very stupid, foolish, not knowing what you are doing. So these are the kind of things that happen. I'm not here to degrade teachers. I know all of us are trained, but sometimes we make mistakes. We are human beings. So what I'm saying in this video, in that thing is, you will notice that the student will live there with low self-esteem, believing that just because I, I I missed to write my index number correctly, I'm good for nothing. I'm going to get an E. In fact, I'm doing here. There's nothing I'm doing. That is the fear I'm talking about. So the child or the student will not go back appreciated. Will go back home, and the whole of his life about academics, he will feel like there's nothing important he's doing. Now I want to encourage you guys. That is just a simple mistake, and what the teachers are saying is just out of anger. It is not the truth about your life. Just because you didn't write your index number correctly doesn't mean that you're going to get an E. No. There are some of us, for example, in mathematics, somebody can be in Form 4 and can do all the complicated question and miss a question on LCM or GCD. So a teacher can come to me and ask a question. You mean someone missed this LCM question? Are you really serious with your life? So you feel disappointed, you feel discouraged, and you start rigmaroling around academics. No, no. Just because you missed a question in LCM doesn't mean that you are good for nothing. Now, I want you to understand that I'm not justifying simple mistakes. What I'm saying is there are this kind of words that people utter during your final time to exam that will make you discouraged. Now, still talking about the fear of the unknown, this kind of fear sometimes comes from fellow colleagues, I mean students. And there's a video here I talked about discussion groups. I talked about how you can you can revise using discussion group. But I can tell you something that even the discussion groups, you can find you can find some students there who are they are not really they are there to revise, but how can I say it is like they are there to show that they know. So someone can come with a mathematics question, let's say a logarithm question, and maybe the one leading the group is the index number one, or the one who is best in mathematics that group, and the question is in logarithm. So the index number one will say, oh, okay, we have this question, help us. Maybe you have wrote that question in a full stop, and then the, the student who's best in mathematics, he will write at the top, let's say KCSE 2017 mathematics paper 1 question 4, uh, down there, and write the answer. Maybe the answer is 0.5. Then he ask you, yes, any question? Wow, you are surprised. You brought a question to somebody, that person knew exactly, and he's not wrong, he knew exactly where that question came from and even the answer. And then he's asking you one question. Now you want explanation, but that guy has just given you the question and the answer. Then he starts explaining to you, oh, this is how you do it. And you look on your colleagues, you mean you know even the questions? Yes, there are people who know like that. Or let me give you an example. In Kiswahili, we have something called dondo. So there's a question called weka dondo hii katika muktadha wake. And somebody can know even the page. Not just the dondo exactly where the story was derived from. No. Even the page. And they are not wrong. And I'm not fighting that. Or coming back to the logarithm question. Now the man started doing the logarithm question. Maybe you are the best student in mathematics. And they say, oh, okay, you confirm the log of, let's say, log of 5. You go to the mathematical table, you are checking the log of 5. Before you get to that, somebody has written, he knows the log of 5 offhand. And you're surprised. You mean this guy knew the question? You mean this guy knew the answer? You mean this guy know even the log of numbers without looking at the mathematical table or using the calculator? So instead of you being encouraged to read, you may get disappointed. So it means all I'm doing is like nothing, because I'm very far from my calling. What I want to tell you is that don't be discouraged. Everybody has his way of mastering content, and I'm not here saying that those things are wrong. Yeah, there are people who know these things. In CRE, there are these questions which come from the St. Louis Gospel, and you can ask the question. Someone can even give you the page of the Bible, in the Bible where the story came from. And those things are not wrong. They are correct. If you have mastered those things, congratulations. I'm not against you. But what I'm talking about, there are this kind of students who have not mastered this content to that level. So when you show them those things, what happened to them that they may develop a kind of fear, feeling that it is like they are not in school. It is like you are in heaven and they're on earth. But I'm not here to say those things are wrong. So what I'm saying is this. It is good to master the content, but don't be discouraged by those who are ahead of you. I hope you are getting my point. Yes, because there are some people who will go fold their arms and think, okay, wow, you mean that guy knew everything in that log table without even reading it? Okay, that's not the problem. The problem, are you able to, even if you're still using the log table, are you able to do the sum correctly and get the answer? Whether you can read it from the log table or got it offhand, that's not a problem. So I'm not trying to fight those who know, because there's nothing wrong in knowing like that. But let me give a word of caution before I end the fear of the unknown. Some people know these things and then proud themselves that they know much, to an extent that they can even write wrong things because of rushing and pride. So be careful when you get to this level of master of content, that you can even quote things without going through the books. It is good, but please humble yourself. Humble yourself so that you can also help one another. Wow. If you're not yet a subscriber to this video, I will suggest that you subscribe to the video, share it with your colleagues. These tips you are sharing here are very, very critical and very useful for most especially candidates. And like and comment. I want to hear what you say about what you're sharing in the channel. Okay, the second kind of fear that I want you guys to overcome for you to be successful in your academics is the fear of what others will say about you. And this is the greatest kind of fear that I want to talk about, because most of us are suffering from this fear. This fear does not only affect academics, it also affects life outside. When you come outside the world, you'll come and find that there are things you know they are right to do. Like, but because others are not doing them, you also follow the group that you know it is wrong, but because it is a group, you are deceived to go their direction. I want to tell you one thing. No matter how sincere you try to become, people will always have their interpretation about you. So you are not here to please anybody. You are not here to please congregation or community, but you are here to follow what is right. There's a lot of wrong knowledge roaming around the world. That's why most of us don't become successful, because we move with things, facts, knowledge that are not really true. So you try something that we are told is not working. Now let's come back to academics. And I'll give you examples so that you can understand what I'm talking about. For example, there are students who love extending. Maybe you're in boarding school and your routine ends at 10 p.m. But you know you can extend maybe for 1 hour or 2 hours. But this group of people, when they see you extending, they'll come and tell you, yeah, say, you mean squeeze my chopi? You see? So, because you don't want to be identified among those who are called machopis, in Kenya we call it machopi. So you postponed, or you leave extending for your academics and go back to sleep. Or there are those who love waking up early in the morning. Somebody can wake up at 3. Maybe your routine says you wake up at 4, but you can wake up at 3 and come to class, and you are allowed to do that in the school. But because you don't want people to see you as the one who is putting more effort in academics, now you hide back and come back at 4. No, don't do that kind of things. My brothers and sisters, there's a video talked about sacrifice, and I told you one thing to sacrifice is your sleep. If you know you can sacrifice more, don't let your life be defined by your colleagues or by the serious people, because in every group there are a group of people who are not serious about the academics, and what exactly they are doing, they are fighting those who are serious using words. And if you are those kind of people who are fighting others because they are putting effort on the academics, please stop. It's not good. In fact, you are heading somewhere that is not good. That is the way of witchcraft. Yes, can I be seen? That is jealousy, envy, and is leading you to witchcraft. If you are not serious about your academics, don't fight those who are working hard towards the academics. Another example is there's some situation where you are maybe having a question. You don't really know. But because of the fear that how can I ask this person? How will he feel about me? Let me just sit back with my question. Okay, I'll ask somebody else. And there's nobody else to ask. You don't know how, you will not ask anybody because you are fearing what will the people interpret you. Or maybe everybody knows that question. And maybe you feel like you are the one who don't know. So the fact that you don't want to be seen to look like you are behind the others, so you hide your weaknesses and stay with them. You are destroying yourself. Can I tell you the truth? I love you sincerely, and what I'm telling you, overcome that fear. If you have a question, ask the teacher, ask the fellow colleagues. If they are pride and they don't want to listen to you, find somebody who can also be humble and ask that question. But if you don't overcome that kind of fear, you will be you will be killing your vision. So make sure you ask questions, because there are people who fear even asking questions. Simple because they think people will think that they're stupid or they're foolish or they don't know, and they don't want to look like they are stupid. No, no. If you're in school, what basically means that you are there to learn. So if you know everything, you can go back home. Yes. So don't fear asking questions because your colleagues will feel bad about you. You see, students sometimes sometimes other students have to style up. It is childishness to fight those who are asking questions. Okay. Another example is this. A teacher, you can be revising with your teacher. Maybe in a class, you are revising. Then a teacher asks a question. Who does know this question? Maybe it is It is an integers question, addition of integers. And now it's form 4, term 3. Who has a problem with this question? And maybe the next now, the one who is good in mathematics or the ones who love talking, they can't. Malim, leave that question. We know it in primary. Okay, we knew that question even before we were born. Integers. What is integers? Let's go back to the next question. And you don't know that question. But there are people who are saying they knew it before they were born. What they're trying to say, those things are very simple. We don't have to revise about that. And you have a problem with that question. So instead of you asking, you want to crowd yourself with the people who say they know. And maybe some of them even don't know. They want to create just a good impression among the teachers. And you will not create a good impression in your paper. So be humble enough, ask questions. Please, I beg you. This is the time that you'll be consulting your teachers every now and then. Don't fear asking simple questions. Ask them if you have a challenge. So that is the second kind of fear. Fear of what people will say about you. To the day scholars, there are some of you who love to go on school on weekends, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday after lunch. But because the village you are coming from, you don't want people to see you that. Yes, I'm talking about the day scholars now. And most especially those who stay in the villages. Maybe you love going to school on weekends. Yeah, Saturday or Sunday, or maybe this public holiday. But because now you are a candidate, but because the village you are coming from, you don't want people to see you that you are really putting an effort to your academics. Or there are people who tell you, you mean you're going to school on Saturday? You should be helping your mother at home. It means you're a lazy person. You don't want to participate in home activities. So you're hiding yourself. You don't want to go to school because you feel like people talk bad about you. If you know something about life, nobody is interested in you. Everybody is everybody is interested with his life. Those who look like they're interested with your life, it's just for a moment because you're still a child. But as you grow up, you'll come to realize that nobody loves you sincerely. People love you when you're a child, but when you grow up, people don't love you sincerely. What they look for is the value you're bringing. If you're not bringing any value, you look like a nuisance in this earth. And even if you die, you become a problem because you have to contribute to bury you. So what I want to tell you, don't don't be too conscious about what people will say about your life. Do what you know is right. Do what the right thing. There are people who cannot even buy revision books because their colleague says, okay, we are in term 3 now. How can you go and buy a mid familiar? How can I go and buy a set book? No. If you get the money, please go and get a revision book. Don't say it is too late. That 1 week, even if it is 1 week to your exam, you can buy that book. It can add you 3 marks or 5 marks. So this kind of, some of us are very too cautious about what people will say about our life until you cannot do the right thing. So somebody cannot go to school on a weekend because what he's thinking is, how will the people see me? How will they talk about me when they see me going to school to read? This is weekend. Everybody's not going to school. You are not called everybody. So, brothers and sisters, what I want to say is this: please don't be too conscious about people. Do the right thing. Do the right thing according to your timetable, according to what you see is best for you, that can help you. But if you're too conscious about people, you will fail and they'll know you have failed. And some of them, especially those who are Bantus, we know our Bantu families and our Bantu families, they will celebrate when you fail. So I want to wish you well. Please continue revising, share this video, listen to it once and again so that you can know exactly the things you should avoid for you to be successful in your exam. Until I see you in the next video, work good.